Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Naya Sim. Thank you so much for the support. Hope you all are doing great. So, shout out to the content creators that I took this video from. They did a great job. And I am going to say this. You all know how America is built on race and how racist America is. With everything going on, as like, the way we call out racism all over, there is also another institute that is very racist. Sometimes we tend to ignore it. Why not really ignore, like not talk about it because it's in for some people it is very sensitive. For some people, it's okay. Not you are not supposed to talk about church. You are not to talk about Christianity and all that because of the sensitivity surrounding it. But something that I am going to tell us is that all this evangelical mission and all that get away with a lot of racism. They are not being held accountable for some of the things they do. They are not being held accountable for some of the actions they take and the rest of it. Because anything that got to do with church, most times it's perfect. People do not want to question it. People do not want to get into it for so many reasons known to them. Now, I am going to dive in a little bit when it comes to Christianity, slavery, and all that. Each time I remember that the same people that said they are Christ-like were the people that refused to teach my own people some part of the Bible because they do not want them liberated. I do not trust anybody. Let's get into this video.
You know, in the process of us having these painful conversations about racism in America, there is one culprit that seems to be able to get away without ever being held accountable for their actions. The white evangelical church, or the white church, Christianity in America. Before there was an abortion debate brought to you by the Evangelical Christian Conservative Movement, before there was a debate about homosexuality brought to you in part, or brought to you by the Evangelical Christian Conservative Movement, there was racism. It has been here since the church has been here. Look up the slave Bible. Just look it up. Some of you didn't even realize there was one, and there is. There is a thing called the slave Bible. Well, within the slave Bible, one passage matters more than any other passage. It's one of the things that slaves were taught during chattel slavery. According to the Bible, slaves, obey your masters. That's the impetus for the slave Bible. Again, you can look it up. At the end of the Civil War and the beginning of Reconstruction, the organization, the Knights of the Ku Klux Klan, were formed. What is their calling card? What is it that distinguishes the Knights of the Ku Klux Klan from every other white supremacist organization in America? The burning of a Christian cross. It was the clearest indication that the Klan was in your area, and it wasn't like they weren't, they were all over. And it was also the clearest indication that whatever was about to happen with the Klan, black folks were going to catch hell. This went on throughout all of the Jim Crow South and in certain places in the North as well. But the clearest indication was a burning cross. Now, for years, people, evangelical Christians, have tried to distance themselves from the Klan. You can't. At one point, the Klan called themselves a Christian organization. Spoiler alert, they still do. They still consider themselves to be a Christian organization. But again, I'm not done. I don't know whether or not it was Martin Luther King or Malcolm X, but one of the two of them said the most segregated time in America is Sunday morning. But even the black church, even the black Christian church, has not been exempt from the damage that white evangelical Christian conservatism has done. The bombing of a black church in Birmingham, Alabama, that killed 4 black girls. Fast forward, Dylan Roof walks into a black Christian church and kills 9 people. Now, evangelical Christians have always been able to push them, oh, well, that's not us. Oh, that's not my Christianity. That's not my Christianity. Is it though? Isn't it? Because if you think the bombing of a black church, the lynchings of black people as the Klan burns a cross behind them, if you think that's not your Christianity, then you haven't been paying attention. It gets worse. Let's get into the financial part of it. Do y'all realize that the reason a lot of these Christian academies and these Christian schools and these Christian colleges exist in the first place is because the white evangelical Christian movement did not want to integrate with black folk. They did not. One of Strom Thurmond's most famous speeches before he got on the floor of the fucking Senate was the speech where he talked about not allowing black people to integrate into their homes, their stores, their pools, and their churches. Evangelical Christian conservatism propped up a whole lot of white supremacy. Always has. If you go through the history of the Red Summer, which basically white folks destroying black people's livelihoods, their homes, their neighborhoods, their businesses, and things of that nature, you will find that a lot of the knights of the Ku Klux Klan were not only there, but they were screaming their Christian bona fides while they were doing it. Jerry Falwell, one of the leaders of the evangelical Christian conservative movement, complained and sued the federal government. I believe he sued them, or they sued him, to keep his tax-exempt status while also opening up these Christian schools and Christian academies where they did not have to integrate. The federal government said, no. And the other fucked up thing about that is, when it came to public schools, where white kids and black kids were going to be going together, and white people did not want their kids going to school with these black folks, and they created these Christian academies. One of the things that they did through legislative, sleight of hand, they were siphoning money out of the public schools' coffers to go to these Christian academies and these Christian schools and things of that nature. You see, the separation of church and state didn't just fall down. It's always been falling. This was done in the 60s and the 70s, long before now. Let's talk about the fact that these Christian schools and Christian academies were only created because they did not want to integrate with black students and black children. But through a bunch of legislative sleight of hand, public school money went to fund these private schools, these private Christian schools. See, the wall between church and state has been eroding for years. For years. They were able to get away with this. Not because of abortion, not because of homosexuality, but because simply they did not want to go to school with black folk. They just didn't. Jerry Falwell was sued by the federal government for not allowing black students into places like Bob Jones University and Liberty University and stuff. Well, I think it's Liberty, whatever. So it became less profitable for them to do this. And that's when abortion and gay rights became the new calling card. Now you have the rise of Trump. Over the past 10 years, the evangelical Christian movement have found their perfect avatar. They spent 8 years calling President Barack Obama, everything except his actual name. Y'all remember that movie that the woman that was in Touched by an Angel made, where the big controversy was that the devil looked like Barack Obama? Do you think that was by accident? And now, since Trump has shown back up, and since he's been here, now the Christian movement is not only happy that they got their man in the White House, but now they feel like they can go back to their old roots of racism. That's why you see so many instances of people being racist and getting away with it. Because the first thing they'll tell you is, oh, I'm a Christian. I can't hate people. I'm a Christian. Like that has anything to do with it. The woman that called the little 5-year-old the N-word, I guarantee you, if you looked at the comments before they shut him off, there were a whole bunch of people that were saying, God bless you, God bless you, keep his hands over you. The Kenny Loggins Jesus joke is basically based on that. Remember when Megyn Kelly got her ass on television and said that Santa Claus and Jesus Christ were both white? So you see, one of the biggest culprits in the continued racism that America faces is the church, the white church. And until such time as people say this stuff out loud, we're never going to fix this. This is not the time to distance yourself from your religion. No, this is the time to confront the nasty racist history of white Christianity in America. Because it's getting worse. And it's all being done under the guise of following the teachings of Jesus Christ.
Happy Friday, guys. Looks like it's going to be a FFO Friday. To the maggots that are out here on the internet whining and snotting, saying this is not what they voted for. That they don't understand what he's doing. They didn't vote for this. What is he doing? Trump came out and said, y'all can quit all that lying. Because he campaigned on this. He said y'all signed up for this. Because he campaigned on it. And you're voting for him. So says you supported it. So Trump said stop lying. Trump said stop lying. Y'all knew what he was doing because he told you. And in this instance, he ain't lying. In this one instance, he ain't lying. Trump told y'all everything he was going to do. He said it was going to be a bloody mass deportation. He said he was going to bring in those tariffs. He has not lied one bit to y'all. During that entire campaign, that man was complete, what they would like to say now, transparent. So Trump's telling y'all, stop lying. Stop lying on him. See what happens? See what happens? Have y'all ever saw this movie? It's an old classic. I'm a black and white movie fan. It's this old classic movie called Face in the Crowd. Andy Griffith stars in it. He was this, what they called back in those days, a hobo, just out, doing his life. And he came across this woman who dad owned a radio station, I believe. Anyway, they got him on a little morning spot. It was a little deal. You sing something on the air, and the sheriff was going to let him out. You know how them small towns did it. This was a small town in Arkansas. Anyway, from that he became this huge phenomenon. I mean, he went from a little radio station to eventually moving to Memphis for a bigger TV show. He got a TV show, so he had tons of followings. But his tons of followers were the lower class, the undereducated, the poor, white. He was a huge success in Arkansas. Okay? He could tell them to do whatever on his radio station and they would go out and do it. And it was little harmless pranks, don't get me wrong. It was like, he was messing with, I think, the sheriff or the guy that was running for mayor. He said he couldn't be a dog catcher. He said, as a matter of fact, everybody take your dogs over to his house. And they went over there and they took all their dogs to his house. And everybody thought it was so funny. He was so hilarious. And the woman said, how does it feel? The woman that discovered him said, how does it feel? He said, what feel? He said, how does it feel? She said, how does it feel for your words to have so much impact on people the way it does. And he said, and he stopped to think, he said, I guess I do. Well, he started out as a humble man. You know, he was just a little hobo, poor man, never had a dime in his pocket, but he was happy. And when he became, after they put him in the spotlight, and he got this huge audience, he became really, really powerful because of all the backing he had. Sound familiar? Okay. So he got, the more powerful he got, the more true him came out, and it was not good. So with all the power he had over all these people, you know, he generated money. He had sponsors that wanted to sponsor his program. He had rich people that wanted to have his influence so they could, you know, lean people in their direction. Of course, you know, the politicians came and running because they wanted him to control, because of the control he had over the people. They wanted that. So they was finna just blow him up and put him in the political arena and everything. The man was huge. Ratings out of this world. Who does that sound like? Okay, so one day, because he had got so powerful and so huge, his ego had got out of control, and everybody around him was like, you know, they saw him for who he were, but they were hiding that from the public. And the woman who, you could just say, created him, brought him to the public, she was at her wit's end, because, you know, he dogged her out through the whole movie. She was in love with him. He dogged her out. One day she came to the studio, and he was wrapping up. He was getting ready to wrap up the show. And at the end of the show, they would have the credits scrolling, and then they would have him and his little, he called this little Cracker Barrel group of guys that he sat around and talked to, and they just went nodded along with him, you know. A whole bunch of, you know. So one night he was closing out the show, and they had the credits rolling. They had the sound down so the people couldn't hear him, but they could see him. So he was in the camera smiling and waving like he was saying good things, but what he was saying was, "Good night, you stupid idiots." You know, he said I could get these people, I could lead them anywhere. He was calling them sheep. So the woman, she turned the volume up where it was going out over the broadcast. So the people start hearing, "Good night, you dumb idiots. Look at them, a bunch of dumb sheep. I can lead them wherever." I mean, and the people in his little group, they just cracking up laughing. So the people who were still tuned in, you know, because they were watching the credits go by, they hadn't turned the show off. They start seeing him for who he is. So they start getting hot. They start blowing up the television station. Talking about, we'll never watch him again. His ratings fell like, you know, like a rock, like a boulder. And just that quick, he was through. The public was through with him. But it was only because they got to see the real him. Got it? Now, fast forward to modern day times. What does it look like MAGA's going through? Who, their leader, how did he become in so much power? How did he get so much control? Ratings from a TV show, right? Of how that TV show presented him. How they made him look to be something that he wasn't. So Donald Trump, you know, he profited off this ratings from The Apprentice. That's what gave him the public recognition that the MAGA thinks he has. So I'll say that to say this. If you will look back at that, look it up, it's called Facing the Crowd. You will see so many resemblance to today and Trump and his following. Just because a person says what they want to say in public does not mean that's who they truly are. Okay? So Donald Trump is telling y'all now, shut the hell up. Go along, because you signed up for this. Those are his words. Look up the article. Look up the article itself. Trump tells the public to suck it up. He tells MAGA to suck it up. He says to stop the whining, because this is what you asked for. He said, I campaigned on this. I campaigned on this. So now he's coming out telling y'all, you asked for it, and I'm going to give it to you. And he don't care how you feel about it now. It's too late. It's too late. I'm in here now. I'm in here. And now that he's in here and he's showing that he is not for the working class. He is not for the poorly educated. He is not for the rural community. He is not for the man working from 9 to 5. He ain't for y'all. He is not for y'all. Y'all got him in there. But who Trump is really for, who he fooled y'all to be really for, Trump is for him and his billionaire, millionaire buddies. He's in here to ensure the future and the well-being of the 1%. And now that the facts is slapping y'all in the face, Donald Trump is saying, suck it up, buttercup. So, on this Friday, on this FFO Friday, I have one question before I get out of here. And it's to MAGA. Is it great again yet? Asking for a friend.
This is all I got from this video, and shout out to both content creators. The truth is that a lot has really happened to people that look like me, and it is still happening. And the fact that our racism is also being masked under Christianity and all that is something that sometimes I ask myself, how do people become very naive and senseless at the same time? Because people that buy into all these things are I think they are naive. Because tell me how somebody, we know that they are cheating you, or know that they are lying about some certain things. And the fact that a lot of people are still growing up till this very moment and have refused to read and understand. Why? Because they are blind. The same people that will tell you, oh, God is good, God loves you, it's the same people that are looking for a way to send innocent people back home, or send kids back home, or like look for a way to deport people. It's also the same people that do not care about people that look like me. It's also the same people that, like, make it make sense. You cannot tell me you are a Christian, you know God, but your behavior and your Christianity do not match. No. So everything is Bishop Thomas said is actually truth. You see all of them, all these white supremacists and all that, all masked under Christianity. Sometimes I am like, if this is really how Christianity was, a lot of people will absolutely probably not want to even be part of it. Because you can't tell me you are a Christian, but you are not even kind to your neighbor. You are not even a nice person. You are a racist. So what is good about your behavior? What is good about you? What is Christ-like about you? And the fact that the same people use Christianity to pin my own people down. And a lot of people feel like, why is she talking about Christianity and all that? I am not trying to go into, but I am trying to tell us some certain things you and I know. I still remember vividly during slavery and all that, how the same people that told you that they are Christ-like decided to turn the Bible upside down to suit them, to suit what they are saying, because they need to convince you that this is the problem. And you will be convinced that this is it, because you do not know how to read the other part that will tell you this is not the part. That's why during that period, some people were subjected to reading a particular kind of verse just to keep them caged. And the same thing they did, literally some certain thing they left for Africans, right? Africans are trying to get rid of them, except Christianity. They are holding it so tight. But that is a story for another day. So I am going to ask Trumpers, how are you people doing? How great are you people? How is the FFO? Because so far, you all can see how horrible the administration is so far. And you all did this, knowingly fully well that it was going to affect people. But because you thought it was not going to start with you, it was going to start with people that look like me. But at the same time, it is whooping you people's ass. Man, I am going to draw the curtain here. Bye for now.